Okay, hi. This is my second video for today. I'm going to do another one after this. Be a lot more brief, I think, than this one is. But let's talk about this one now. Um, this video is titled, or is meant to speak more specifically about um, the next assignment. The last, actually, the biggest one we have. I hate to call it that, but that's what it is. The one that's due on April 18th, which will be our last of live session too, if I recall correctly. I'm pretty sure about that. We do have one coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's March 25th. Let's be clear on that. And then the next one is I believe on April 18th. And I'll verify that. If there's a mistake, I will certainly let everybody know 10 different ways. And so the April 18th assignment will require you to present what you mean, what this particular assignment asks you to do. I don't see it as particularly a difficult assignment, especially if you've been working with us in terms of all the different things that you've been responsible for doing so well throughout the rest of the semester, and hoping that my video responses and whatever other pieces I post up are helpful to you to help you formulate your own thinking, as well as the text, which I think is a pretty good text, but as Joseph pointed out the other day, it's a little dated here and there. Starting to realize and make me see to have someone give me the authority to change this textbook up. Should I be teaching it again in the fall, which I think I am. At any rate, what's my train of thought? All right, so without any further ado, I had tried to link the assignment that you turned in on March 5th, which I think I pushed back a few days, so that you could begin to get your motor running in order to approach this particular assignment, the April 18th assignment. And I will be talking more about it between now and the end of the month. But I'm not so sure it necessarily goes together in certain senses. So let's make that clear. So what I'm going to do is share the screen. And this is right from your syllabus. You have this on your syllabus. You can certainly follow along with me from that count. Okay, here we go. So you have a policy brief to put together, and that is not what I'm looking at. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the one down here. Policy memo and presentation, all right? And forgive me for reading to you, but here it comes. A policy memo is created to help someone of influence make a decision about a policy. For this assignment, you are to assume the role of a district administrator to the Board of Education to address them around a policy that you wish to change. Your memo should be approximately 4 pages and should include the following sections. And before I move off that, in my mind, a big piece of this is the style of a superintendent. Some superintendents whom I've worked with in different capacities across my lengthy career will be rather formal about these things. They will want an executive summary from you. And it's a skill that if you don't have, you should get. Some of you have already told me you very much want to go forward and get a doctorate. And most doctoral programs will require you to write executive summaries about lots of things across the span of that program that you may be part of. So you can look at it from that point. An executive summary is exactly what it sounds like. You're the executive, and you want to, as succinctly as you can, clearly lay out in a structured kind of way the issue that you've been assigned to make recommendations about. And so from that count, it's not terribly challenging, but it does require that you have the mind structured in a way to write from that count. People tend to forget that the writing part of an administrator, in terms of the communication piece, is a critical premise. And I'll just say one more thing before I go to the assignment. I think I mentioned in the previous video, I haven't put up yet, but will be up in before the day is over, um, about the essential relationship between communication and collaboration. You cannot have collaboration without communication. And if I need, if I'm writing an executive summary about a potential policy that you wanted to propose, it just makes sense that you want to communicate the salient, I haven't used that word too many times in my lifetime, the important pieces of it in a clear, concise, often concrete manner. If you say that I say this, I'll deny that I said it, although this is obviously being recorded. Um, not every board member is going to read something as closely as another board member for any number of reasons. Sometimes it's a political thing. They already know what they want or don't want. And sometimes they have other issues that prevent them from reading something carefully. So you got to understand who your audience is too. Because again, with communication, there's the message, but there's the sender, that would be you, and there's the receiver. So you need to be real clear on those three pieces, because if any of those three pieces are murky, it will confuse the issue rather than contribute to its resolution. Enough said about that. These are the six pieces to it. Let me skip down to the last assignment. So during the final Zoom class, don't have the dates there. Oh, so I have it down for April 18th. It was when it's due. We'll cross that bridge another day. During the final Zoom class, you're going to be expected to present your memo to the Board of Education. Yeah, you're looking at the Board of Education and the other people in the class. There's only 7 or 8 of us, so we can all pretend to be. I might even give you roles that night. Maybe that will be fun. And so if there's, I think, 7 or 8 of you, and there's 4 pages each with a PowerPoint, if I gave you each 10 minutes, that would be 70 minutes. It's a 2-hour class, 10 to 15 minutes worth of time to present, closer to 10 and closer to 15 in terms of your presentation. But again, you're going to write up this thing, and I'm going to have that copy as well. And we're going to role play a little bit. So what I'll probably do is make up some people that you're going to have to play, and that might be interesting too. We have some fun with that. So here are the 6 pieces. You need to do an executive summary, which is the background, the environment, and the rationale for the change. Now, I'm presuming, and the syllabus presumes it, if you think about it, that you, as I've recommended to you quite a few times, that you've looked at the policy handbook, you've picked out some issues that you're interested in. It sounds like attendance is, and I wouldn't blame you for being interested in attendance. DEI with another thing we talked about, LBGQT issues certainly go, maybe a separate policy issue. Health issues, COVID premises still prevail. Maybe you want to do something about technology from any number of points. I kind of like to see some of those myself. So I'm not going to say you can't do anything that you want to do. That's a wild card. That's up to you to try to do. That's fine. But you need to substantiate it. And some of you have been quite good at this. You need to substantiate it by showing what research you've done about it, with past legislation or past theories or points of view that have been expressed about the issue. And then you need to identify the context. The word we use here is environment. I like the word context a little bit better. What's the backdrop? What's the culture of the district in certain senses that you have to pay attention to? Culture with a small c. So that needs to be done. And then since we've been talking about the futuring word so many times, here it comes again, though you don't see the word specifically there. And that would be the rationale for the change and what the change is that you want. I'll give you another way to look at it. And I know you've heard these words before. What's the preferred future? What is the preferred future? Now, a problem statement for many of you is probably something you've never really written. I'm smiling. Forgive me, I'm being kind of smug about it. I shouldn't do that. A problem statement, I'm going to give you a phrase. You don't have to use the phrase, but this is a phrase I use with my doctoral students a lot. A problem statement could start this way. It's going to sound a little grammatically a little clumsy, but pay attention to it. It is not yet known that, fill in the blank. It is not yet known whether, fill in the blank. My favorite variation of that is, it is not yet known about the extent to which, fill in the blank. I'll model it for a moment. It is not yet known whether a strict, I'm not sure how to term this. It is not yet known whether research supports a complete banning of artificial intelligence in instruction. I think that's probably true. Not yet known. So you lay out a strong sentence, and I will be happy to look at this whenever you try to put it together. Send it to me. I'm pretty good at getting people to really squeeze what they really want to say about what is the problem you're trying to change, address. And always in there, some places, who's being affected by that. And then you're going to say that, and here's what I think the problem is, and here's by way of my research and by way of having looked at reviewed a lot of data, this is my recommendation. I wouldn't say that's got to be, 10 of the 4 pages that you're responsible for doing. I'm saying that sarcastically, but that's got to be clear. What is it that you're recommending that's specifically going to solve the problem? And I want you to get a little bit of a rash about that, because that means you got to think about what's going on. I wouldn't say you should necessarily go take something that's already been done in your district or another one. Try to do something that's that's sitting out there that you want to know more about. You want to take charge of. So that would be a better way to approach this. Always, always. And boards are notorious for forgetting this. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be ready for it. And that would be that you need to show what your evaluation is. How will you know whether you've solved the problem? Be very clear on that. We will reduce the attendance rate. We will raise the attendance rate from 92% to 97%. Now you have to write that clearly, but we will raise the attendance rate if you want to say it that way. If I'm a board member, I'm going to say from what to what. I'm not going to let you get away with that. But most boards will be perfectly satisfied with that. So how will you know that you've done what you said you did? How did we know that the Yankees had a terrible baseball season last year? They barely got over 500. They said they were going to win 95 games. They won 82 games, he shouted sarcastically. So what are the criteria? And now, notice that the word criteria is a plural. The singular of criteria is criterion. We're not talking about one criteria. Heavens, no. You want to have multiple criteria. You should also point out some other possibilities. That's where the futuring thing comes in nicely, especially with the futures wheel that I demonstrated a few weeks ago, or a straight brainstorm, although a brainstorm is sometimes a little bit too loose. But you can find out what other people are doing. What is District X, Y, and Z doing about artificial intelligence? And so these are things they're doing. These are other ways to look at how we solve the problem. And then you probably should say something like, I don't think that they address the problem. And here's why. Now you see the word efficacy and you see the word evaluation. Let me go back up to number 4. I think let me regroup on that one. The evaluation criteria says, how was it determined that the existing policy needed changing? To me, that's part of number 2. But I would break it out. Don't ignore the sections. Stay with you. I want 6 sections. Can't say it. 6 sections. All right. So, but as far as number 4 is concerned, evaluation criteria, what yardstick did you bring to say, well, whatever we were doing or what we were not doing is a mess, or it needs to be fixed? and explain it from that count. And then when you go down to number 6, that goes back to my little speech from 5 minutes ago, I think more effectively here, when you respond to, and I want to see this thought through. How would you evaluate the efficacy of your proposal? Attendance rate went up. There wasn't any cheating with ChatGPT. I mean, I don't know, whatever it is that you're going to look at. And that's essentially it. Now let's think out loud. I haven't thought about this until this very moment. Today is the 10th. Not going to see you for another 2.5 weeks. I would suggest strongly, I'm not requiring it, that you send me your topic within the next 2 weeks. Just send me an email and say, Dr. B, I'm looking at this. Dr. B, I'm looking at that. And I'll respond to it. Now, if you go further with that and give me a problem statement, I will squeeze the problem statement and shape it and squeeze it again, or I'll give it back to you to squeeze so you know exactly what it is you're talking about. Quite frankly, this reminds you of a dissertation where a person comes in and wants to solve the Western world's reading problem, and they throw 53 things at the wall and hope that somewhere in there there's a dissertation. And the truth is, of the 53 things against the wall, there's probably 7 things that are potential solutions, and the other 46 should be washed off the wall. And that's how you begin to filter for a good dissertation study. And so this is kind of the same premise, although now you're quite frankly, educationally, and by way of your leadership, your potential leadership, and by way of your own thinking prowess or skills, shaping how you approach ways to convince people of your points. Another consideration, I'm not telling you to write this up, but if you just go back and think about the matrix I just shared with you in a previous video or another video that you haven't seen yet, you'll see that you can probably use the matrix to shape how you want to approach this. And I invite you to do that. So you have like 6 weeks to do this, but it will quickly overrun you if you wait till the night before. It's not that kind of assignment. And quite frankly, I'm more than willing to meet with you anytime you want. If you want to meet with me, by Zoom or phone call or emails, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that. Okay. And I've got a certain amount of skill in helping you pull that together. And so that's the assignment, okay? And as long as I'm here too, I want to point out that you also have an e-portfolio to put together, where you put all these good things into your e-portfolio, and you can use those hours toward internship. And then, so you're going to send that to me too on the 18th. But I have to find out more about that myself, to be quite frank, having just taught this course for the first time. And so I think that's enough. I think that this video is done. It'll be posted before the day is up, and I urge you to look at it at your first chance. I have one more video to try to do, and I'll have that done after I have a lunch. Take care.